300 runs on the board, gentlemen. Sanjay, let's go to you first. Would India take that? 300 for 6?
Yes, they will, considering how the pitch unraveled in the morning session. It looked like it was a snake pit, but it's turned out to be pretty good. So the score looks good, 300 for 6. Plus, Rishabh Pant is such a dangerous player when he's got 6 wickets down or 7. So who knows where India will finish up with Rishabh Pant. They're in form and the kind of approach that he has. But whether the score is good, I'll reserve my comments after I see England bat on it and how they bat against Indian spinners. So for the moment, just 300 for 6 looks a pretty good batting effort from India.
Yeah, while that fourth wicket partnership was going on and on, Belly, between Rohit and Rahane, you almost felt like there's a good chance India could take this to stumps with just 3 or 4 down. Given that, the fact that both those set batsmen were dismissed, it's only 300, or I don't know if we can say it's only 300. But would England be happy after that middle session with 300 for 6?
I don't know if they'll be happy. I think they're always going to go into, losing the toss. It's going to be a tough day. I think India will be in that position as well for me. I think 300 on the board is a really good place to be. I think they could be even in a better position. At one point, it looked like they could be. But again, 300, I think, looks a lot of runs on this pitch. As you said, I think you've got to wait for both teams to bat on it to make a real judgment. But it looks like a good score so far, and if they can push on again tomorrow and get 350 plus, it will be the first time in the series England have had to bat under any scoreboard pressure as well, and the Indian spinners will have that pressure on their side rather than being the pressure more so on India. So fascinating to see how tomorrow goes, but I think in England will be 50-50. There were some good parts of the day, some nice bowling, but also too many times where it was too easy for India, again on a pitch that is turning, too many comfortable balls to score and rotate the strike.
Given what we've said about this pitch, Sanjay, the fact that both set batsmen, in the manner in which they eventually got out, was it a bit soft again? Was it a bit contributory on their own part and not as much about England's wicket-taking ability?
Rohit Sharma, maybe not so, because it's a shot that he played right through the innings and he played with a high degree of success and he got full value. Every time he played that shot, he was either getting 4 runs or he was getting a couple of runs. So it was the first time that he tried to play that shot against a left-arm spinner and perished. So you can understand somebody's used that as one of his main scoring options, falling to that, playing that kind of a shot, and his reaction after getting out clearly suggested that he wasn't somebody who was just happy getting a big 100. Interesting when you look at Rohit Sharma's hundreds in India, he got on debut 177, and against South Africa there was a 176 to 112. So he's a big sort of daddy 100 maker in India. So he was obviously disappointed. Ajinkya Rahane, the way he got out, a bit like Virat Kohli, only that Ajinkya Rahane was playing the sweep shot, may have had something to do with what happened just before he got out.
Okay, let's take Ian Bell's thoughts on it. It looked like a wicket wasn't going to come, and the manner in which it came. Should we give credit to England's spinners, or was it more on India's batsmen losing it at that point, Belly?
A bit of both. I think England did well. Like I said, they hung in at one point in a really bad place for England, but again, like in Test cricket, you have to do. They chipped away all day and managed to get their rewards at the back end of the day, however they came. But they worked hard today, and that's all you can do. When you lose the toss and you haven't got the right side of the conditions, you just got to keep grafting, keep working hard, trying to create as much pressure as they can. There were little periods through the day where they did create that pressure, and maybe that's where those wickets came from. But yeah, I mean, again, I completely agree with that little bit. Certainly with Rahane, there was a lot going on there in that couple of overs, and that might have just broke his concentration for that period of time, which got that wicket for England.
We'll talk about that period of play, but we spoke about the importance of this innings for Rohit Sharma. It's finally ended with a pretty big 100, Sanjay, and there are also comparisons on just the impact of this sort of day 100, striking at 70, 20 boundaries in it, almost a Virender Sehwag-esque sort of impact. Maybe the importance of this will be known as we see both teams bat on it, but he's that sort of player. Rohit Sharma has that Sehwag-esque sort of impact when he bats a decent amount of time.
Absolutely. And, Sehwag had this knack making a major contribution. And as you said, you can hear me, right?
Yes, loud and clear. Carry on, Sanjay.
Yeah. So, and like Sehwag, he made a major contribution in that inning that everyone's talking about at Gaul, where he got 200. And that was more than half the score of the team. Same with Rohit Sharma as well. And that's Rohit Sharma's style. And let's talk about Rohit Sharma at home. When he gets his hundreds, his strike rates, I just looked at it, have always been over 70, 72 when he got that 176 very early in his career against South Africa. The 200s that he got, one was a double-handed strike rate in the 80s. Today, when he was batting on 140 at strike rate 74. So this is how he gets his hundreds. And again, we have to see England batting on this pitch. And they really struggle against the Indian spinner. Then you see Rohit Sharma's innings in a completely different light. At the moment, you've just got to admire the talent this guy has. And I think we safely say now that in this current Indian batting lineup, he's perhaps the best puller to the fast bowlers and the best sweeper as well against spin in this Indian batting lineup.
Yeah, wonder what it was like being in the opposition when Sehwag was having this sort of day, Belly, and Rohit Sharma is in a similar sort of mold. Again, there's no real weakness per se, but there is every chance that an attacking batsman will get out. How does the opposition tend to view a player like this, the kind that Rohit Sharma is?
Well, I was going to say, firstly, to go on the point before, I think this is where, again, I know India lost that test. There's a lot of talk about Rohit and Rahane. This is why you have to have calmness at the end of a loss. You have to give these guys that opportunity. They're world-class players. And it has to be that element of calmness and not, chopping and changing all the time. But I think with players like that, again, I mean, that's the beauty that as an opposition player, they're so dangerous because, again, if they bat period of time, they score so fast and they're taking the game away from you. If somebody is just surviving, and you can create dot balls and pressure, then they're not hurting you as such. And then if that wicket comes at the end of that period, you're still in the game. But as we've seen with Rohit Sharma, again, he scores at such a rate as an opposition team. And the whole of that bowling attack at that time under so much pressure, if they missed, he scored.
All right, and he scored quite quickly today. So 160 for Rohit Sharma. It didn't come without incident in that final session of play. So let's get into that 15-20 minutes or so where the TV umpire was very busy, Anil Chaudhary, who comes at the back of a very impressive debut test match standing on field in the first test. TV umpiring isn't easy for some of these guys, but let's just take Belly and Sanjay's thoughts on exactly what happened. The highest profile incident, you think, was that review of Rahane, which clearly the third umpire did get wrong. By the time it was reinstated, Rahane was already dismissed. But there are so many elements to this and what we can learn from it, including something new that I've seen, that the match referee has actually reinstated the review belatedly. Belly, let's just take me through what you made of all of it when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I have a lot of sympathy for umpires, certainly on the field. On a pitch like this, it's not easy to umpire. There's going to be a lot of back patch outs. There's going to be some LBWs. So it's not easy. And you know there's going to be the odd mistake. And that's why I suppose the reviews are there. Like we talk about with the football, so when it goes to, and you've got all the technology, we should be trying to make those decisions. They have to be correct all the time with all the technology. Obviously, there's a bit of a breakdown in communication and the process of that dismissal of Rahane. But I suppose we're sat here now, we're quite lucky in a way that, after both the decisions, but certainly decisions that were talked about, both batsmen didn't last much longer either. I mean, England would be felt pretty hard done by. It would be a much bigger talking point if Rahane was still, say, 90 not out overnight tonight and India in a lot stronger position. But yeah, with the technology we have, I think we should be getting those decisions spot on. And there was obviously a breakdown in communication.
Yep, both those decisions, including, so the first one was that stumping of Rohit Sharma, which again we didn't talk much of, because Rohit got dismissed pretty soon after. But when you looked at it, Sanjay, you did feel, this needs to a little more closely. It does look like there's nothing behind the line.
Yeah, when I'm commenting and when it's actually happening, I keep it, I try and keep it very clear and clinical. Very often, when these are marginal, fine calls, you see what you want to see. And I was trying to see from the umpire's point of view, was there anything at all behind the line for the umpire to say not out? And I saw nothing there behind the line. What I saw from the evidence that I got, and because there wasn't better evidence available, I had to go with what was there as evidence, which I was shown. And you got the impression that the toes were on the line, then there was nothing. If the toes that you saw were on the trees were behind the line, then there's a clear indication that the batsman was not out. But there have been others you feel differently and felt that there was something behind the line. So sometimes, you see what you want to see, and that is what I saw. I saw there was nothing behind the line for the umpire to call that out, but he was very certain about it, Anil Chaudhary, and quickly made that decision.
Okay, let me just get in, Bell, on that. On the stumping chance, yes, it was insignificant of what happened, But if you're in the third umpire's chair, I know if you're the batsman, I know what you're thinking, Belly. But if you're in the third umpire's chair, are you giving that out or not out?
Well, I know from English fans' point of view, they didn't say anything behind the line. That is for sure. There's a lot of talk about that. But I think, I mean, again, the decision was made quite quickly, and maybe, again, from an umpire, could have just taken his time. Surprised there wasn't a zoom in. Certainly, we didn't see a zoomed in picture of it. But again, we're talking so tight. It was tight. My gut feel, it was out. There was nothing behind the line. But again, I don't know what other views the umpire would have had in his room there. But fine margins. Again, we look at it in a way from a talking point of view. Yes, it could have gone away and nothing really happened. If Rohit is still 190, 200 not out, then England would be very disappointed. But happened to be. But for me, he probably rushed the decision. He probably could have just taken a little bit more time.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.